Hi everybody, this is Mr. Johnson here, hanging out in my basement where I spend half of my life, it feels like these days, on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm going to give you some instructions about how to do your asynchronous work, your independent classwork that is meant to be done before I see you again in class on Friday. So I'm going to start by taking us to Schoology, so on my Physics B Schoology page here. And one thing I've added, which I hope you find helpful, is a link to our class notebook. So that's right here. I'll click on it in a moment, but again, I've added now a link to our class notebook. You should be able to get to OneNote and to the class notebook for this class straight from Schoology. First thing I'm going to do, though, is to take us to this Week 3 folder. Remember, it's that current week folder where you always find information about what we're doing that week. And if I click on this Week 3 schedule, which hopefully you're finding helpful, we see that it says that the work we're supposed to do, the asynchronous work we're supposed to do, is to watch this screencast, which is what you're watching now, and to complete the initial ideas in E1. And then remember, these abbreviations stand for OneNote. ON is OneNote. PF for personal folder, and energy. So you'll find that page, and I'll show this for you, in OneNote in your personal folder with your name on it in the energy subfolder. So we're back on the main page. Just want to remind everybody that the work that we're always expected to be doing is going to be in your calendar. So this tells us, like you just heard a moment ago, that you're supposed to be watching this video you're now watching. And then the initial ideas page once again in OneNote. So that's the other place in addition to the calendar where you can find out where the work is that you're supposed to be doing. So I'm going to click on the link to the class notebook. And up it pops, and it should as well for you. Now this is 5th period, so if you're in 6th period, of course your class notebook will show up. So remember, the page you're doing is going to be in your personal folder. I'll pretend that I'm Danny today. And then in the energy notebook, so we click on energy again, and it's this page right here, initial ideas, that we're going to be doing between now and Friday. I'm going to click on this on this page first, and I recommend you do so as well. Whenever we start a new what's called activity, there's this opening page, which gives us a question, a key question. And there should be a question mark at the end of this, but there's not. The key question for this activity is, how can you represent both the speed and direction of an object? That's a question that you should be able to answer really well after the next couple of weeks once we're done with this first activity. I'm going to click now on the initial ideas page. This again is the page that I'd like you to complete before Friday. And we see a link here that says Student Guide. In fact, we're going to see this link at various points along the way as we work through E1. Whenever that link is there, that's prompting you to click on it, because what it gives us access to is a digital version of the workbook that we would have been using had we been in class. So we're going to click on that. And what it opens up is the student guide within Schoology, and it takes a moment to load. There it is. Great. So now we're looking at the student guide that's loaded within a Schoology page. But the problem is that we need to be able to see both the student guide and the OneNote page at the same time, and that's going to be common. And it's going to be annoying and difficult to toggle between those two pages regularly. So what I'm going to recommend is you open up an entire browser. So I'm down here on my Chrome icon. I right click, and I'm going to open up a new window. Opens up a whole new window for Chrome. Then I go back to my original window, and I'm going to Control-C, or copy and paste the OneNote URL into this new window. So I highlighted the URL at the top, hit Control-C, in the new browser window, hit Control-V, and OneNote is open over here. Alternatively, you in this other window that I just opened could get into Schoology and open OneNote that way, or go through Office 365 and get into OneNote that way. Either way is fine. So I now have two windows open. One with OneNote in it, and then one with all these other tabs that I've been working on. This is a trick I didn't know until a couple of years ago. When I learned it, it saved me all sorts of time and headaches. What I'm about to do, and notice this window is not maximized, right? It's minimized. It doesn't take up the whole screen. As I'm about to swipe it, right off to the right side of my screen. I'm going to grab the top and I'm going to swipe it right. And what that does is puts it on the right-hand side of my screen. If I click on any of these other windows, that window will show up on the left side of the screen. I'm splitting my screen between the two windows. So now I've got OneNote on the right and all these other browser windows on the left. Well, I just go back to Schoology, and here is my student guide. So I now have my student guide on the left and OneNote on the right. At this point, if you want one window to be bigger than another, you can go to the middle, and then you get this double arrow, and you can, you grab them both at the same time. One gets bigger and one gets smaller. Otherwise, if you don't do that, they're about the same size to begin with. And then within each of these windows, you can, scroll left and scroll right. With a small screen, it's kind of hard to see the entire page. So my screen is split. Got the student guide on the left, OneNote on the right. It says to go to page 1 in my student guide. So I go to page 1. Looks like that's not page 1 yet. Looks like that's not either. Keep going. Keep going. And that's page 1. I recommend you read the purpose. You have an idea of what this activity is getting. We already know it's about exploring velocity. And what you're supposed to do is answer this key question, which is how can you represent both the speed and direction of an object? Well, the initial ideas is what you're going to respond to in OneNote over here. It says to draw 2 different ways of showing the motion of a car during its drive. 2 different ways to show the motion of a car during its drive. And to label when the car was speeding up, moving at a constant speed, or slowing down. You won't be sharing your ideas with your group members. You're just going to be putting them in OneNote. So it's over here that you'll do that. If you ever want to create more space into a box, you can hit enter. That just deleted the text box, which is fine. If you're going to do 2 different ways, one way might be in words and one might be in picture or graph. Or it could be 2 different ways to depict this in images. If you want to draw images, go to the Draw tab. Got pens you can use, and you can make all sorts of great stuff. If you want to expand your response by including up to 5 different ways, you're welcome to do so, but at a minimum, I'd like you to put 2 different ways that, again, the motion of a car can be shown speeding up, slowing down, or moving at a constant speed. If you have any trouble, email me or drop into office hours. Enjoy yourselves, folks. Work hard. Live life to the fullest.